This week's episode, we're going to put a trigger warning out before we even start. The title is Behind Closed Doors. And so, without further ado, let's get into it. Hello, everyone. You're listening to All Cards on the Table podcast with Claire and Sylvia, a show that talks about how men and women aren't so different from each other. We just don't speak the same language. We will dissect every topic and put an end to miscommunication. So, get ready to get uncomfortable. Hi, and welcome back. My name is Claire Attio.
Hi, everyone. This is Sylvia Jaira.
And this week, Sylvia, we're going to be doing a really hard topic, behind closed doors, those unknown truths, those unseen truths between a partnership and some of the toxicity that actually exists, and to look at some of the support that's out there, because both men and women suffer. Unfortunately, that it's predominantly women that are speaking out against this and women that are getting the help. A lot of that is because in the past there was no help for them. It was put up, shut up, you made your bed, you lie in it. But both sides, and I want to get that across, both sides. Now, because we're both women, we probably will end up talking about our experiences of that we've had with men within these situations. But I do not want to underestimate that there are women that are just as toxic and causing just as much pain and heartache and suffering to men. So I'll get that out there. I do not want this to be a them and us. This is happening. We need to talk about it. We all need to be observant of it, and we need to be doing our part to try and help stop it and support those people that are going through it. So there was a video that came out on TikTok, wasn't there?
Yes, it was. At first, it seems like a husband is just pleading to their wife, like, "Don't leave, please don't leave me. I've messed up." So my first thought was like, okay, did she find out he cheated, or what's happening? And then it goes really dark, and I'm not going to say names or anything, but I would love to give credit for the one that's bringing it up, but I didn't catch their name. But we can hear a little bit about it and go on that discussion, because it's things that we don't get to see what other people are living. We just see one part, not the other. So here we go.
I'm sure that please stop. Please stop. Please.
Fred, you need to let me leave.
Stop. Listen, I have screwed up. Please.
Let me out of here.
Please stop, baby. Please don't.
Okay, I'm gonna call for help.
Don't. Just stop.
I'm done.
Okay. That is I think it leaves you speechless first, because I don't think I've ever seen a man do that. For me, that was shocking. I know women have lived through this. I wouldn't know what to do in that situation, because I've never seen anything like it. Like I was telling you, I've been very, very lucky and blessed to have such wonderful men in my life. So I don't know what I would do in that situation, because for me, it's still shocking. And I know there's a lot of women that go through this all the time, that are going through this right now. And my heart goes out to them, because it's insidious what this man is doing. And it gets worse. I'm not going to play the rest of the part, but it gets so much worse. And it doesn't end there. It continues. Verbal abuse and threaten to unalive himself to get her back. Manipulations. And this is what I see are two people hurting very much. I would say first, for the woman, is what she needs to get out and be safe. Get out of there and be safe. But it's hard. It's hard to hear that.
Yeah. And I think it's fair to say, as Sylvia said, she's been extremely fortunate through life that she's never experienced these type of men. And so some of the conversations we've had off camera and off mic, she used to get really quite, what's going on here, because
Yeah.
she'd never experienced it. And so for her, it was really hard to understand. And that is, I think that's what we want to bring forward, isn't it? It's
Mhm.
just to hold a space, especially, and I don't like using the word narcissistic because it's over. I'm the first one to say it's overused. I'm the first one to say too many men are being labeled with that, when actually what they're doing is they are exhibiting narcissistic traits in a heated moment.
Mhm.
That is very, very different. And women can have narcissistic traits in a heated moment, but that doesn't tend to get talked about as much.
Yeah.
What we're talking about is actually being in a relationship with a narcissist, whether
Mhm.
that be male or female, and the hurt and the pain and the trauma that is created from living in an environment where you are constantly walking on eggshells. Not only are you treading through tar, but within that tar, you're constantly walking on eggshells because you are terrified of triggering them. And what usually happens when you're in these relationships is it's always that broken winged bird attracts another broken winged bird. You have
Yes.
something within yourself that needs healing. There is a belief, a value, a self-worth issue within yourself.
Mhm.
A childhood wound. Somewhere there will be something that you feel is broken. You're not broken.
Mhm.
It just needs to heal. There's just needed healing there, that you attract this person, and this person is attracted to you because they can see that, and because you will be easier to manipulate. Somebody who is standing in their power are not targeted by these people.
Mhm. And that's
Because
very,
they're too hard. They can't do the same manipulation. You can't tell somebody that they're a bad person when they're standing in their power and they know, okay, I may do things wrong, but actually I'm not a bad person, so get off my case. There's a
yeah.
huge difference.
And it is actually, was talking to my son about being kind and being nice. And I said those are two very different things.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to teach both our children, I'm gonna say children now because I've both girls and boys, to understand the difference between nice and being kind.
Mm-hmm.
Because kind people can do hurtful things, but they
Yeah.
repent and it hurts them afterwards. And at the heat of the moment, when you're heated and you're having all these emotions, like you said, we tend to portray our narcissistic traits because that comes out. We call them, you're spitting venom, is
Mm-hmm.
what I say all the
Mm-hmm.
time. You're spitting venom, but a nice person seems nice only from the outside. So from the teeth out, you're nice, but your heart is not.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's like they carry a lot of anger. They want to live up to these expectations. They want to be liked by everyone, so they come out really nice. And those are the people that we normally go, he's nice, but there's something about that person.
Mm-hmm.
Or she's really nice, but he's really nice, but. And nice is, it's really frustrating for men because they like, I don't understand why women don't like me. I'm a very nice person. Because you're not kind, because they can see that.
Mm.
Kindness, nice, means that you're going to do all the right things
Mm-hmm.
at the
Mm-hmm.
moment,
Mm-hmm.
but the minute that something doesn't go your way, then the real you is going to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And if the real you is not kind, then we get to see what we just saw right now.
Yeah.
It's this.
Yeah.
So we need to really understand the difference between, you can have a kind person. I've dated many kind men, and they've had their faults, of course, like men, all what men do, but I've never judged them as they're just evil, narcissistic. Like if I would ever bumped into one of my ex-boyfriends,
Mhm.
I would never have those feelings. I would never fear them. They've had a kind heart. But I know there's a lot of women that I do not want to go back to my ex. What isn't that? Or they're fearful of bumping in.
Mhm.
I know two women. They said, I don't go to that city anymore because my ex lives there and I'm scared
Mhm.
to bump into them.
Mhm.
So we need to really understand
Well, I
that.
think the problem is when you're dealing with a full-blown narcissist, male or female, the problem is they will not let go. They will not let go. They will always energetically be trying to get their hooks into you
Yes.
because it has bruised their ego. Their ego is so massive. It bruises their ego. They have to have that control, because if they don't have that control, it makes them look at themselves. And you have to remember, somebody who is a full-blown narcissistic is somebody who is in desperate need of doing huge amounts of healing, because they are hurt. They are hurt to the very core of who they are. They're hurt right the way through to their very soul. And that is why being kind is very difficult for them, because they're not kind to themselves. So how can they be kind to anybody else?
No, yeah, absolutely. But that's kind of where I was saying, for know the difference. And when you're meeting someone, you know, it's are they nice or being kind? And I always tell everyone's like, oh, they were a very nice person. And my thing's like, everyone's nice when you just meet them. It's like, let's see how this goes. Because we don't know the person. And like you said, you know, this podcast is about what happens when inside the door closed, when no one's looking.
It's those closed doors. And I think there's a lot of people in relationships where, to the outside world looking in, it's like, oh, isn't that a wonderful relationship? Isn't that a perfect relationship? But you will always, it's interesting, because I've had narcissistic relationships, as you know, as many of the viewers know. And I don't listen to what's being said. I listen to what's not being said when I'm observing other people. It's in what's not being said. Very often when you have a narcissist, they have to be the center of attention. And so when you've got the couple there, whichever one is a narcissist, they are the life and soul of the party. They are the one attracting, because they need that spotlight, they need that validation. And the partner is sat in the corner. But what will happen is, if that partner gets any attention, if somebody starts to speak to them and they start to be validated in any way by another person, that narcissistic partner will come over, will stop being the spotlight and come over, and will start to say derogatory comments. Ha ha ha, she's this. Ha ha ha, they're that. And it will be little picks and nicks that the abused partner will understand instantly, and so they will revert back into their shell. And if you've not been a party, if you've not been in that type of relationship, it's very easy to miss, because it's very, very subtle.
Absolutely. And I've actually witnessed a few times, although they make comments and jokes, and they joke around. For instance, like, oh, remember that time we went to, just gonna throw this one, like, we went to Cabos and you got like so sunburned you couldn't sit down. That was so funny. Ha 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 ha. You should have known better. Ha 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 ha. And everyone's laughing, because you're, you know, and you can almost see that person shrink. And so to me, it's kind of like, I've noticed that there's always I have this one particular couple in my head where, like you said, larger than life fellow, and very catering, and he's a wonderful host, and he's going to everyone, and you're just, he's so wonderful, and she's so tiny and quiet and just sitting down, and you offering and catering, but not much of being part of the conversation.
No, because it's because it's better for her to be quiet. It's safer for her to be quiet, because if she does engage people and they're actually interested, he will need to come along and strip her of that. He will need to come along and belittle her, that in a way that a lot of people may not understand, but she will understand it. She will feel it.
And that's exactly what happens. That's exactly what happened. I remember we're having this just as girls, and we're having a conversation about, I can't remember what, but she starts coming alive, laughing and everything. And all of a sudden, there he is. Hi, what are you girls up to? What's so funny? What's going on? Like, we're like, no, nothing. We're just talking about X, Y, and Z. And there she goes again. After that, I'm a people watcher. I love to sit down and watch people. It's one of my favorite hobbies and pastimes. So I've noticed that, but I was the only one. So then I talked to my girlfriend. I was like, did you notice that? And she was like, no. I'm like, okay, let's go over here. Let's just watch this. And then I told her exactly like you said happened. Watch what happens right now. And he's over there. He's grilling. He's having fun. He's with the boys. She's over there, right? And then I told her, okay, let's go over there, have fun. He's going to come really quickly. Watch. And we start another conversation, comes back. There he is. And my friend's like, oh my goodness.
And I think this is what we need to do. That is beautiful, because that is something, if you've got a large circle of friends and you have some knowledge about this, teach your friends, guys and girls, both sides of the table, teach other people what to look out for. Because the one thing in these relationships, the most horrendous thing within these relationships and the damage that is caused, is we have continuous post-traumatic stress, which is normally assigned to people in the services when they've been in active combat. And it's where they are living with continual high levels of stress and alertness. But if you're in a narcissistic relationship, you are also living with those continual, persistent high levels of alertness and stress. And so you end up with this psychological disorder that can take you years to recuperate from. And that you don't even have to have experienced any physical abuse. This is how powerful it is. It's like mind control.
Oh, it's absolute mind control. And they've perfected it. That's how you know you're really dealing with a real narcissist. It's not going to be the guy that's screaming, the guy that's playing video games and forgets to. No. They're very calculated. And they are very much liked by other people. And so it's hard to spot them. But the minute we start saying, oh, they do this and they do that, and we start filling in the boxes of what a narcissistic is, it's like the whole world is narcissistic. We all have narcissistic traits. We
should have them as well. There is a level of healthy narcissism that we all need.
I think that when we actually see this, when we finally see this, like we saw when we heard earlier the audio of a man begging, one can just say, oh my goodness, what, to hear a man cry, he's so sorry, give him another chance, you never know, leaving. And to that, it's like, find out what, there's more to that story. What people don't see all the time is all of the manipulation, all of the violence, the verbal abuse, the silent treatment, which is also a form of abuse, the in being invincible for your partner for all the time when you're inside closed doors. But when you're outside, it's a different animal. And so you are portrayed as this crazy person that has this wonderful partner, and they don't understand what's wrong with you because you're acting irrational, because they're gaslighting you, they're making you in your life living hell, and there's no way for you to turn, because no matter who you talk to, they're going to be like, but he's so nice. I can't see that on him, or I
Mhm.
can't see her doing
No.
it. She's so, but she helps everyone. I don't get it.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's because this is the Mr., what do you call it? Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I forgot.
Yeah. Jekyll and Hyde.
Jekyll and Hyde
It is a Jekyll and
syndrome,
Hyde, but
because
yeah.
yeah.
And it's learning to, because those people, the victims will, if they didn't have it, very often they go into the relationships with low self-esteem. But even if they didn't have low self-esteem to begin with, by the end of it, there will be low self-esteem, because there's been so much work done on their psyche that their esteem will be low. The other thing is, as you said, because the narcissist is usually the life and soul of the party, and they're putting on this persona to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
When the split happens, the victim will be really lonely, because everybody, there's few people or no people that give her any support, because they would have been told, that whole group, and this can include their own family, the victim's family,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the first place a narcissistic goes, is they start working on their victim's family.
Yeah.
He's done this, he's done that, blah, 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 blah. How can I help them? What is it from their past? And what they're actually doing is, when they're asking that question, what is it? What's happened in their past relationships? That's always a classic. What's happened in their past relationship that has made them like this? That is a question a narcissist will ask. And it's not because they want to help. It's because they want leverage.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they want leverage. But of course, you have, and you're not unaware of these tactics, and you have your sister's boyfriend come up to you and say that, you go, oh, well, yeah, she did have a really bad relationship 3-4 years ago, and I know she's been, it's left her with X, Y, and Z, bum. And it wasn't said from malice from your sister.
No, they thought they were trying to
They
help.
thought they were trying to help you. And this is why it's so freaking toxic, because then that isolates the victim from her own sister,
Mm-hmm.
from her mother, from her father, from his mother, from his father, from his brother.
Mm-hmm.
It isolates, first of all, their family, and then it isolates their friends. And so they have nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Which then creates a massive very toxic codependent relationship with the perpetrator.
Absolutely. I always tell young girls, you need to watch Sleeping with the Enemy. I said every girl should, just so you could start finding out what happens, because they start isolating you.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes it is they're so careful in how it's done, you don't see it coming.
No.
And like you said, their tactic is to isolate you, but not in the sense that you're alone, but in the sense that other people unknowingly start doing it, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
So you're at the party, you're at the barbecue, you're at the wedding, and you find yourself surrounded with people and no connections, and you feel so alone, because there was that person already working
Mm-hmm.
on making sure you're not going to say too much or talk too much. And should you say something, you're the crazy one, because nobody else sees it, just you.
Mm-hmm.
You just want attention, you want drama, you're seeking attention. And to me, when somebody comes up to you and says, like, I feel like you don't understand, you don't know how he really is,
Mm-hmm.
or how she really is, listen.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to tell you. And even if you see that person as this wonderful, caring human being.
Sorry, Sylvia, because most victims will not actually say that. Most victims will say, I feel lost. They won't actually say, you don't understand. They are this, they are that. They will not say that. They do not say that. They are that, because it's not, that is not a common phrase to come from a victim. That is a common phrase to come from a narcissist.
I've actually had the opposite for that. I had someone that when they were trying to explain what's happening, why they're acting irrational, and they were like, I don't know that this is not me. It's just you don't understand. That's not who they really is. I'm tired of faking this, and I'm tired of people seeing.
Yeah, from that, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm tired of being portrayed as this, and when that's not really that real. You don't know what's happening. And so I've actually had that. So
yeah,
I mean, not everything is like, oh, they're gonna say this. Of when a person's just had enough and they get to that point, a lot of things, it can come in many different forms, just like you said. I feel lost. They're trying to make you understand the best possible way. They're trying to open up your eyes in another ways that you probably didn't see. And you're coming off as this irrational person to the world or to your friends and family because that's how they portrayed you. And when you finally get to that point, I feel like, for instance, I didn't think it was like, oh, this is a person that is just making this up. You can feel the energy, you can feel the torment that this person is feeling. You can see that they're about this. And then usually it's when you go, okay, we need to intervene here. We need to do something. But it also, then it goes into, we need to be careful how we do this, because obviously.
Oh, yes.
If this is going to happen,
because it can
professional help.
It can escalate very, very quickly. Yeah.
And and another thing is they're always want to know who your friends are, what are you talking about, not because they're interested with the conversation, what you guys are doing. They want to know what you are doing because they need to use that against you. Be careful how much you share. Just because all of a sudden your partner is asking, oh, so what did you guys talk about? What did you guys do in this and that? And that's never been the issue. Like, they never actually cared to ask before, and all of a sudden they see. They're not asking because they're now genuinely interested in you. They need information, something to hold you against, something. And sometimes we just give them that information without us knowing. So we need to be careful what we say as well.
Yeah. It's very difficult for people that have never experienced it. Family members and things. I'm thinking of my own family members, to be honest. And because I was in such a bad place and because I was having such a hard time, I was very, very angry with them. I was so angry. And it's only doing my own healing that I've been able to kind of step away from that and go, actually, they didn't do it with intention. They did it from a place of love. But when you're taking hit after hit after hit after hit, and then you're being hit with stuff that has been said to that person from your own family members, the people that are supposed to give you that unconditional love, it sounds dramatic. It's like daggers to the heart. And it almost kind of, it's that place where you can't fall any further.
Yes.
And it's only when you've actually managed to get yourself out of that situation, and you've started to do the work, and you've started to build yourself up, and you've started to apply the self-love to yourself, can you then kind of go, okay, I get that. I'm starting to understand what happened there. At the time, you don't quite understand it. At the time, you feel betrayed by everybody.
Yeah.
And that is, and I want to say that to anybody, I want to say that to anybody who's experiencing this at the moment. If you're feeling that you've been betrayed by everybody, know that the magic, black magic, I'm going to call it, because it's not a nice kind of magic at all. The magic that was worked on you, that got you in this situation, is also being worked on those people that you love dearly as well. And so it's not done with intention.
No.
Because I think that's important as something that gives it, if we have listeners that are in this situation, it will give them something to hold on to. Because that is important, is having that something to hold on to before you can actually get yourself out of the situation. And it does take, because it's very easy. And I'll be the first to put my hand up. In my 20s, I was like, why the hell would a woman stay with that? Why would they put up with that? It's, there was a lot of bravado in me. And my experiences became very humbling. Actually, I wouldn't recommend anybody go through them for the learning experiences that I have, but I'm choosing to see them as learning experiences because I've been able to take a lot of gems and knowledge and wisdom from that. But yeah, you need something to hold on to. So hopefully knowing that you have not been, just that holding on to the fact that you weren't deceived by your loved ones. They just fell into the same trap you did because you're obviously a lovely, kind family.
And that's very good to point out, because that's exactly what, when when you start to come out and your truth starts to come out and you start to heal, there's going to be anger as well, as in, why weren't you there? And that's a good way to acknowledge that they were there as much as they could, because with the limited information they had. And like you said, the black magic worked on them, but it's a process, and it's a healing process.
Yeah. I think that's a really good place to end this. I think it's a topic that we will have again, because it's important, because there are a lot of people out there struggling. There's a lot of family members that there's a lot of guilt as well, which never gets talked about enough. And I'd like to cover that in another episode. So, but I think we'll leave this here today. I hope that's helped people. If you have your comments, then please leave them. And that's it. Bye-bye from me.
And me. And as always, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, please. It would help us a lot to bring more content to you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so, and please leave a review, as it helps us grow and bridge the gap between the sexes. If you have any topics you would like us to cover, shoot us an email. Until next time, go out and practice putting all your cards on the table with no judgment, expectations, and fear.